Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Moms in the Huddle. We're in the huddle. No parent stands alone. I am your host, Erica Morgan, one of the hosts, rather, Erica Morgan of Moms in the Huddle. I am the mother of Samaj Morgan. He plays wide receiver at UCLA Go Bruins. Also, I'm the mother of Tyler. Tyler is our young man now. He's getting into carpentry work. He's 28. He's like, Mom, I want to be a carpenter like Jesus was. So he wants to get into carpentry work, and he's my eldest baby. But other than that, not only am I a mom, I'm in the huddle with you.
Yes, yes. And I am Jillian Blackwell. I just happen to have three young men. My oldest is 20. Say it again.
I think you're frozen. There you go. Uh-oh, and you're on mute now. Yeah, we moms in a huddle, okay? Jillian is like a world traveler, okay? So she's here, but she's also in another state. Go ahead, Jill.
I'm in Austin, Texas. You see the sun is beaming. It is definitely not Michigan. I'm in Austin, Texas. And I am the mom of three handsome, brilliant young men. My oldest is 23, Jonathan. I call him Jonathan, not John. My oldest is Mackenzie. Hello, Anthony. What's up? My second son, and one of the reasons why we're in Moms in the Huddle, why we started this, my second eldest is Jonathan Blackwell, plays for University of Wisconsin, Go Badgers. And my youngest son, Robert Gabriel. So we're here because, as Erica said, no parents stand alone. We did Moms in the Huddle because we wanted to make sure we educated you about what's happening in the new collegiate landscape when it comes to playing in college sports. And actually, that's going to be a lot of what we're going to be talking about today.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot of good things. Me and Jillian are going to drill home what's happening in the federal world and in the government world and in college sports as much as we can to be able to give every parent insight into what's happening now, to where if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know what's going on, go to Moms in the Huddle YouTube. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe to where whenever a new episode come out, it'll pop up and we're there and you'll see it. We're trying to educate a lot of parents about what's happening in this new landscape of NIL. Not only that, we're also keeping up abreast of what's happening in today's sports world, whether it's in the football, basketball, or any sports that we can bring to you so that you can understand. Maybe your kid doesn't even play a sports, but you may be interested. They may be 1 or 2 years old. What should I get my kid in a sport? But this is what Mom in a Huddle is doing. And so, Jill, how was your weekend?
My weekend was great. It was short and sweet. What did I do this weekend? I can't even remember. It went so fast. But as I said, I'm traveling here. I think I cleaned up and cooked. I tried to make sure my family had food while I was gone. So I spent a lot of time in the kitchen. So in a huddle in the kitchen, so I can take care of business while I'm traveling and teaching people on leadership development. So that's what I did.
Oh, wow. And you know what? I don't know why it is that you keep freezing, but that's okay. We are able to still hear you very good. We're able to see you good, but it keeps freezing you if you're able to see it or not able to see it. But I will say.
Go ahead.
All right. I just want to make sure. I think it may just be your connection, but that's okay.
It's probably my hotel connection.
I will say over the weekend, it was a big event. It was the 2026 NFL Combine event. Some of you may ask, what is the Combine? What is the NFL Combine? The reason I know a little bit about what the NFL Combine is for the simple fact my son is in football, okay? So the NFL Combine is actually an annual event where some of the top college football players are invited by NFL teams. They perform a series of physical drills, tests, and interviews in front of NFL scouts in order to be measured for their suitability to enter into the the NFL to all ultimately be drafted in April. So we know every year the NFL draft maybe 250 kids or 250 players each year that go to different rosters out of the 32 teams that they have. So I was very impressed because I'm still a mom's mom. I'm still an athlete's mom because I wanted to be able to understand. Samantha's dad did actually go down to Indiana. It was held at the Lucas Oil Stadium in down in Indiana, Indianapolis, and that's I believe where the NFL combine. Every combine is pretty much held there. But I will say some of the things that they do there, they do the 40-yard dash. That's just like a straight run, straight vertical. Is that vertical? Am I saying that right? It's not horizontal. It's vertical. You run straight up the field, and we want to see how fast can you go within 40 yards, right? Then you have the 10-yard split of how you run different ways, left to the right. Then you got bench press, you got vertical jump, broad jumps, you got agility test, you got position-specific workouts. Now, one of the biggest things while people are in high school, while people are in college, people always want to know when you're a football player, what is your 40-yard time, right? Okay. And a great 40-yard time, they want it to be at least a 4.5 or I would say lower, under that. Anything 4.5 or higher, meaning you run 4.5 seconds within 40 yards, that shows your ability to run as fast as you can. So teams like that. So I will say some of the speedsters or some of the young men that stood out, which were Brennan Thompson. Okay, he's a wide receiver. His time was 4.26 seconds.
He's a wide receiver from where? What school?
He is actually, I want to make sure I get his school correct. He is a wide receiver from Oklahoma Sooners.
Okay.
Then you have Zachariah Branch. He is from USC Trojans. Okay. And I want to make sure I got his correct time. Zachariah Branch is actually a young man I was following from high school when Samaj was in high school, playing high school. Oh. I just liked that his name was Zachariah.
I love it.
Young man.
Oh, mom and dad, that you know where that come from.
Right. I know they come from that word. Mm-hmm. So I follow Zachariah, and mainly he played for USC. That's down in California. He ran a 4.35. And what these numbers that I'm giving you, what it shows is elite acceleration in how they run their route speed. So if you can accelerate just as fast to get to the route or get to where the ball is going to be, then that will make you an exceptional candidate to get into that NFL and get into any school to where you're able to catch that ball and get to that end zone. That's why it matters how you run the 40-yard dash. So over the weekend, it was 4 days. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I believe it was Sunday. So I know that the receivers, the quarterbacks, as well as the running backs went on Saturday. So this is something in which ultimately a lot of college football players want to end up at, especially as well as my son. This is something in which you want to end up there. It's not only they're checking your explosiveness and your position field work, they're also doing different things at this at the NIL combine. So they're doing interviews. They're trying to figure out your football IQ, your leadership, your personality, your work ethic, your ability to process information. So you're not just out here saying, right, and I'm just only showing my ability to be a great football player. Right. Also, these teams will conduct full physical exams, your injury history. They're going to review if you've been injured. They're going to look at your images. They're going to put you in front of their doctors. You're going to get looked at extensively. You also have a background check, meaning I'm wanting to say like a top secret type FBI, to where they're not just interviewing your coaches. They're interviewing people that's a part of your life. They're interviewing your high school coaches. They're interviewing maybe even your professors. They're interviewing all kind of people, and they're going to talk to different people. They're going to talk to the college coaching staff, your strength and conditioning, your academic advisors, your teammates. They're going to say, how were you as a teammate?
They're doing a background check on you.
Oh, yeah. It's extensive, Jillian. So the combine isn't just one of those things you just say, hey, I'm showing up and showing my skill. You're going to show up and be put in front of all 32 teams. A lot of those teams, head coaches and general managers are there. And they're looking for your psychological and your cognitive testing, meaning how do you understand the game of football? You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? So it's more than just being a great player. You have to come with everything, and they're going to dive into everything. Jill, do you
So
have a
Eric,
career
when you say you're going to come, and you may have mentioned this already. So how do you get invited? Can anybody come? How does that whole process work?
Yeah. So just to give you a little background, with the combine, you are actually invited. You have to be invited by the teams. That means, what have you done in order to be invited? So they're going to look at your college history. They're going to look at stats. Okay. They're going to
Mhm.
look at the team needs. They need a slot receiver here. So who are some of the hottest or highest rated slot receivers? So going back to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars when you were in high
Right.
school, really, we were
Yeah.
talking about, they're kind of doing you on that level, but then how did you really do in college? You get what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? Because we know Cam Ward was a 0 star, but yet he still made it. But they're
Right.
looking at those things. But I want to just give you what the how many people are drafted. Okay, out of all the kids that play college football, the NFL draft will only select 257 players.
Ooh.
Okay.
So let
And
me.
so here's the thing. So they may invite maybe 300 and something. Out of all these players, only 250 selections will be made in
Wow.
order to fill their rosters. So I think it's a little bit more than just saying, hey, I'm coming to play college. You have to be invited. If you're not invited, of course, you can probably be an undrafted free agent, meaning you're not drafted, but maybe a team may still give you a chance to come and try out for the practice squad, and you may be able to move up in that thing. But I just wanted to kind of just let mom and dad knows that is out there. If they've watched the combine this week, or it was actually on ESPN on some of those channels, and they did showcase the talent. So I get excited about times like this
What
because
is what's that percentage? I'm just thinking. I remember Eric and
it's
I.
0.01% that will make it to here, to
That's
where you may even not, even if you're invited, it's not even 100% or every chance that you're going to make it to a team.
wow. That's crazy.
Which is, I think that's almost the same percentage. I think the percentage may be even lower for NBA players because you have a smaller team
Well,
size.
it's
You have
actually it's 60 players. And I think so. I remember. So I did this math a long time ago when my
okay.
kids were playing basketball. We have 3 boys. My husband at that time would be the one that would take them to practice. He would take them
Yeah.
to um, um, what am I trying to say? He would take them to their team sports,
Hmm.
AAU teams. And then one time he said, "Babe, I'm gonna need you to." He was traveling, so I'm gonna need you to take Mackenzie to. I think he had a little tournament, and so I was going from like building to building, and I was like, "This is a lot." And so again, my background is business, and we're gonna always look at the data, look at the numbers, and so
Yeah.
and every parent on the bleachers think that their child is the next LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. Even
Absolutely.
at 4th grade, 5th grade, and I said, I wonder how many of these kids can even make it to a Division I school. And at that time, it was 0.04% just to
Mm,
go to a Division I school. In
mm,
order
mm,
for you to be picked, be drafted in NCAA, I'm sorry, in the I said NCAA, to be drafted in the NBA,
yeah.
60 players every year. So that's approximately 1.2% of NCAA Division I men's basketball players are actually drafted.
Yeah.
That translated into 60 players annually, with many of those spots are international players. Because if you look at some of the top players
Wow.
now in the NBA, they're not from the North America. They're not at all. They're from different continents.
Right.
And
Right.
so that numbers, so it's 60 players, and some of the top players are drafted from other countries. And so it's a very, very competitive. One very small player, 60 players, and 1.2% of Division I.
Which is, so when you think about it and you think about these boys out here competing, it's so
Ooh,
competitive. I
Jesus.
mean, even with the NFL, the active rosters, when I looked into it and I was researching this, so it's each NFL team carries 53 players on their roster. You have 32 teams. So that's 1,696 active roster spots in the entire world on all these teams. And you may have some people on the practice squad, but even then, they'll carry active roster spots even throughout the world because you got other like if it's not the NFL, there are like other leagues that they have where people can go to other countries, people can go to other areas to play. But nonetheless, from high school, when you think about it, it's 0.01 or even lesser.
Jesus.
They make an active roster. So then that means you really got to be doing something. Even if you get invited, that's huge. If you make it as an undrafted free agent and get signed, that's huge. We had some guys from the University of Michigan. I think Donovan Edwards, he actually got signed. And now I think he's with Miami. He's with the he's in Miami. But here's the thing: he got signed, and then now he's on an active roster spot because he was an undrafted free agent. But here's the thing: it's so competitive. So you better be out here trying to get them numbers if you're trying to get out there. And here's the thing: what God has for you is for you. It won't miss you. That's what I want to put out there to each kid.
That's why you gotta listen. That's got. I sent Jonathan a scripture yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I'm trying to find it. You just got to trust God and know that He is a God who hears and answers prayer. I sent this daily confession, and I just talked about, you don't play in fear, you play in faith. God is, and I told him to say, God is with me on the court. He strengthens my body, sharpens my mind, and steadies my heart. Pressure does not control me. Purpose does. I am prepared. And again, so you just gotta, whatever it is you believe in God for, just believe God for, but play your best and just keep your eye on God. Keep your eye on God and keep your eye on the ball.
Exactly. And make sure that you're doing what you need to do, because you're right. Wisdom is the principal thing. I was talking, actually, we were reading Proverbs 3, and it talked about wisdom being a person, right? It said, when you find her, keep her. Like, almost like she has to be found, because not a lot of people have wisdom in what they do. But when you find her, keep her. So I'm like, and I tell my sons this too now. I said, act like wisdom is your friend, just so you can understand who she is, and invite her into all your conversations, because she's going to give you that guidance. She has to be found by you. And if you don't look for her and find her, then you know what? You'll be doing what you want to do. There's a difference between having wisdom and then just doing the right thing.
I love the fact that wisdom is called a her. Find her. Love it. Yes. It reminds me of when the Bible talks about when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. It reminds me that says that a wife is a helpmate. And so when you think about wisdom, wisdom is there to help you, to guide you, to correct you, to show you, to lead you. And so the things that we want to pray for our young men and our young women who are going through this new landscape of collegiate sports, you got to have wisdom. Wisdom don't come from your mama, your daddy, your coach. Wisdom comes from God.
Yes.
You got to ask.
Yeah, because it talks about how wisdom holds in her right hand and her left hand. One is long life. The other is riches and honor. Riches and honor on so many different levels. Not riches just financially, but riches evermore in what it is that she's going to have you do in life. And she's like the person there with you. I said, it's not that she's just this wise thought. She's an actual being that you can tap into. And you don't have to make yourself feel like, oh, am I crazy because I'm calling? Yeah, no, wisdom is there to assist you. That's what the word says.
I love that. So we talked about the combine.
Yes.
We talked about there's ways in which, or those that in order for you to go there, you have to be invited. You talked about the folks that were there. And so that was this past weekend. It was 3 days, Friday, Saturday. Did you say Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
I think it started on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then it's Sunday. So it's dealing with different position groups. Okay. So what happens after that? Okay, this has happened now, and they take several months to train for this thing, 2-3 months. Then in April, the draft is the third weekend in April. I think it's the weekend of the 23rd. And then what happens there is this the big TV day. Who's going to get called for the first 7 rounds, right? So that's like huge. Like, who's going to be called on day one,
How
sitting there
many
with their
rounds?
family, holding their hands, saying, "I wish it me." Who's
How
going
many
to call?
how many rounds? 7?
It's 7 rounds, and
Wow.
each of the 32 teams get 7 times to pick. They can trade off, they can do different things. So it's like so it's 7 different rounds. And so hopefully a lot of these young men are looking to be picked. Sometimes you know where you're going, sometimes you can guesstimate, but the biggest thing with it is you want your general manager or your head coach to call you on that phone and say, "Hey, we want you." That's
But
what a lot of these young men are going to be looking forward to in April.
more than likely, they have had some type of conversation with these GMs, correct? It's not
Yeah,
something.
because what's happened is absolutely. So the combine, some young men have conversations with all 32 teams. Some of them had conversations with 15 teams that have an interest. See, you got to think with the NFL, they're looking for where the needs are. So if a
Exactly.
team
Yeah.
doesn't have a need for a quarterback or a receiver, they need linemen. They're going to be interviewing what? All of the linemen that they want to come. So
Right.
it's the number of some young men. Like I remember a couple of years ago, several of the young men that went to Michigan interviewed with 8 teams, right?
Wow.
So you can interview with 8 teams out of the 32. They may have a need for you. You may be at the top of their chart to say, we need a running back. We need a receiver. So the big key thing is you just don't know where you're going to be picked in the draft. You don't know what the team needs are until you have an agent. And this is actually the year that we're actually in the process of picking an agent for my son, for Samaj. We have several that are still interviewing, and we thank God for the opportunity. But the situation is you want to pick the right agent because they're the ones that they're your mouthpiece when they go in there to talk to those scouts and general managers.
Yeah.
So
you
have to understand who's speaking for your kid, right? So
who's representing your child. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so that was our first segment. What are we moving into now? Our second segment.
Jill, we're talking about some good stuff today. Jill, you wanted to talk about this, and the reason that I love it is because you like Erica, they not going to be playing with us. So go ahead and kick us off, Jill.
Listen, I was asking this question, like when you sign your child up just to play like regular sports when they were a kid and youth, thank God they got to college and they're playing what they love. Did you ever think you'll also be negotiating federal legislation or hearing about federal legislation as it relates to college sports? Probably not.
No.
So right now, Washington is trying to get in the locker room. The government is like really talking about regulating NIL. They're actually debating whether college athletes should be employees. Yeah. They're discussing revenue sharing, national standards, athletes protections, really. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to break it down, what this means for parents, players, and professionals. And again, that's our audience. We interview, we talk to, we give advice to parents, we interview, we talk to, we give advice to players, and we bring in professionals to shine the light, to fill in the gaps around conversations that we aren't experts in. And so we bring the professionals into that conversation. And so I just want to really talk about what's happening. I think this isn't about politics. It's about protection. It's about structure. It's about power. We know since NIL launched, the landscape has been, and you'll hear a lot of people say it's been the wild, wild west. We know that different states have different rules. So what applies within the state of Michigan is totally different. That's in Wisconsin. All collectives operate differently. Some schools are very aggressive. Others are more cautious about what's happening. And so, again, those are primarily some of the differences. But I want to talk about the federal government involvement and what they want to do. So because there's pros and cons to it. So they want to create a national NIL standard. What that means, again, because there's different states have different rules, they want to make sure that everyone follows the same rules. They have the same policies. And that makes sense. When we think about the wild, wild west, that's probably a pro. We want to we have some national NIL standards. There's conversation around possibility of classifying athletes as employees. There's pros and cons to that. They want to implement revenue sharing. We want to talk about that. And then an increase in contract oversight. Now, that's the one
Mm-hmm.
that concerns me. Anytime you have oversight and the oversight is being looked at by
Yeah.
government,
Mm-hmm.
that's the question. So does that protect your kid or complicate the whole game of NIL, the whole game of collegiate sports? So when we talk about national standardization, one of the biggest frustration for me and for other families is confusion. Like if the government
Mm-hmm.
creates one national standard, that means, same rules in every state, less recruiting advantage based on NIL loopholes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, we might have some clear compliance expectation, but as a parent, I think we just want clarity. And when things are clear, you feel powerful. You feel like you can pull the trigger, you can move forward because I'm clear. I understand what's going on. And what that means, that could mean stronger oversight on agents' contracts, pros and cons to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, I believe professionally, there's a percentage. Um, I think it's less than 3% or maybe 5% that an agent can charge, but we're not again in professional NBA, NFL, NBA. I said NBA, MLB.
Mm-hmm.
But in college, they're just kind of everywhere. So if there is an oversight, they will determine here's the percentage that an agent can charge, right? So that's I think that's a plus, right? um
Mm-hmm.
there could be stronger oversight and collective agreements. I don't know about that one. They can have violations if you do something, transparency in deals. And again, I think that's good because let's be honest, some families are really signing contracts without fully understanding like long-term implications. So protection is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a concern about revenue sharing. There's discussion about schools sharing TV revenue directly with athletes. Now
Well, I
that's
think that they're on that now because when you think about when you think about oversight and what we're trying to bring to the parents today, when we're dealing with protection or a power grab, the meaning of oversight really means supervision or monitoring to make sure that rules are what properly followed. That's what they're telling us, right?
right. That's what they're
So
telling us.
that's what they're telling us. So if what they're saying, such as oversight with the programs and with the schools, such as let's watch what happens with this new landscape, or let's
Right.
review the decisions that we're making, or let's make sure that the rules are enforced, or we need to step in if something goes wrong, right? So when you're thinking about oversight, when you're thinking about it from that perspective, Jill, that sounds all good and dandy, right? You would think, yeah, we do need somebody to
Yeah.
make sure that things
But
are correct, right? But
but
now the issue is we're dealing with House VAA has opened up the floodgates,
yeah.
and now parents and kids, like you say, the game is looking like it's about to change because
Oh
now
yeah.
the government is saying, hey, we got our hand in this thing and we can make some rules and it can go in your kid's favor or not go in your kid's favor.
Well, when I also hear oversight, when I think of even in corporate America, different organizations have bottlenecks, right? Or different teams have
Mm.
bottlenecks, or different teams have guide rules and policies
Mhm.
and SOPs and all those things. But when I specifically hear about the government, I think red tape, right? I think
Yes.
delays. So if you might have in this current environment that certainly needs some tweaks and some changes, but in the current environment, a deal that might have taken 2 weeks, a couple of weeks, can now take months because the government is involved. More compliance, more paperwork, more. That's what I hear when I hear government engagement and government oversight, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I'm a little, I won't say concerned. I understand that, but think about any time the government got involved in anything. I think about
Mm.
when people are applying for, let's take this for example. Remember when the current president decided that he was going to, or the current administration, I won't put it on the president, current administration decided that they were going to withhold food stamps, right?
Yes.
They
Yeah.
delayed that. And then in order for them to switch it back up, it took even longer
Hmm.
because of the bureaucracy. So you're
Yeah.
talking about a flip, a switch that could have been turned on. No, it was the people, the bureaucracy, the red tape that got people that they couldn't even buy themselves groceries. And so now
Right.
imagine if your son or daughter has signed a deal the government is involved. So let's say the previous year in 2023, 2024, it took a couple weeks to get signed. Now the government, you might have already played your whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And your deal is being looked at. And who you calling? Ghostbusters to try to find out what's happening with your deal? So
well, they're making the boys, I would say specifically for basketball and football and any sports that's played at a collegiate college level, they're making them turn it over to the clearinghouse that is monitored by Deloitte to say the fair market value of your kids. Now, we don't like that that's happening, but it's now been enacted, right? There could be sanctions, there could be things that could take place that could restrict our children, restrict certain things. But if we're really talking about them coming in for federal oversight, what we're really looking for them to say is, instead of just the NCAA policing itself, we're talking about the NCAA. So we're talking about the National College of Athletic Association, that be the main one putting sanctions on these colleges. Instead of them policing themselves, that oversight, it should mean that the government is really looking at how NCAA is treating a lot of these players and these colleges and how things are happening with the recruiting versus just having their hand on people's money. Okay. Or having a hand on trying to restrict what a player can earn. You really need to be policing the NCAA.
But are they doing that? Because if you think about what's happening with the NCAA, they have lobbyists, they have partnerships and relationships with some of these policymakers. I mean, what was the thing that they wanted? They wanted to make sure that they could not get sued because, and you had the government in agreement with that. So I'm a little cautious about if the government is going to police them if they're already buddy up with them.
Well, here's what I will note. I will say we did have a recent case where it was in Tennessee versus NCAA, where it was a federal judge that actually ruled that the NCAA rules barring the NIL compensation tied to recruiting violated federal antitrust law. So what did this do? Effectively, it was blocking those things, those restrictive rules, and compelling the NCAA to relax enforcement. So now, if it works for us on this side, we got to kind of be happy with it a little, but then we need to make sure that they're not going to infringe too much on the players' rights, because that rule, it had a rule that pressured both the NCAA and the federal lawmakers to rethink how college sports are regulated. Gotcha. So it sent the signal that the NCAA cannot enforce rules that unreasonably restrict players' economic rights. So it's like somebody coming in to tell you, Jillian, well, you're working at Amazon or you're working where you're working. We're going to restrict what Jillian makes based on what we see your position is. So that's how they're trying to do something, but they realize they can't do it too much. But so Tennessee v. NCAA actually said, no, you're going to have to relax that. So it was more favorable for what? The players.
Right.
More favorable.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I was looking at is the impact on non-revenue sports, right? So we know that football and basketball teams bring the most revenue to the university, to the college, right? So if they have to share revenue, so football players, let's say they bring in 20 million and basketball bringing in 10 million, whatever that number is. For non-revenue sports, like some of the smaller programs, Olympic sports, are they going to now suffer, right? Are they going to benefit from it? What kind of effect does it have to these sports? And thinking about it, some of the women's sports, certainly you're starting to see more people engage with women's basketball, but some of those programs are not bringing in the revenue, and so now you have them sharing the revenue, which means that takes away from the compensation that football players and basketball players could potentially have. Now you're sharing that with non-revenue producing sports. And so I'm always.
How do you think about that, Jill? What do you, okay. Our boys play something that they're gonna get what's due to them. But how do you feel about that when it comes down to the people not getting paid
Okay,
probably what someone. Let's talk about that.
I'm probably not the best person to ask. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. So most of my career have been in sales, right? So
Hmm.
I have a salesperson mentality, meaning I work for what I eat.
Mm.
If I'm not going and hunting, I'm not eating, right? I had many jobs even when I was 18, 19 years old as a salesperson. I did not have a base salary. I was just working for whatever I sold, I got compensated for. And
Right.
so um so I'm passionate about, obviously girls basketball and other non-revenue, but I also see if these programs are doing a lot of the work, like sweat and tears, their bodies doing a
Mm.
lot of stuff, they should be compensated for it. So you know, so if
Yeah.
I'm going out and I am blood, sweat, and tears, and I'm working, and our program is bringing in all the dollars, I don't know. I'm on both sides. It's a struggle,
But
It's
are we? Because here's the thing. I may play angel's advocate and say I'm in total agreement with what you're saying.
I'm in my hotel and they have sensor lights. So let me just turn my lights on real quick. 1 second,
Okay.
because the lights keep switching off. I'm like, why is it so dark in here? 1 second. It's a sensor. I'm trying to figure out where the sensor is. Come on. See, you see that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, what I was saying is I think most of us look at exactly the way that you do. But then it's almost like you get these young girls or other sports like hockey or other sports like, badminton. I don't know. Um,
Batman.
yeah, I'm just going to say, I don't know. I'm just going to, sports that you didn't even know was there at certain universities. Come on, Jill. The only main sports that I can think of when I think about college, and I promise you, I'm not trying to be funny. I think about football, basketball, hockey, baseball, and then I think all those can apply to girls as well.
Right. Right.
If there's anything else that they got up in there, like, oh, gymnastics, that has come up high. Gymnastics has come up
Yeah.
high at collegiate level. But
My
back,
girlfriend, my girlfriend cheers or gymnastics. She does something at Oregon, University of Oregon.
or even swimming. Swimming is a
Oh
sport that
yeah.
I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
even it's an Olympic sport. Swimming
Yeah.
and track are two different things, but they don't even get the revenue of what football and basketball get, right? So when I think about sports, I'm not thinking of, it's almost like the uno dos, right? The big two. And so you're right. But then you see all these other sports and these other kids putting their hearts into different things and they're not getting rewarded at that same level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it can come across as we don't really care for those sports. But in actuality, under this umbrella, the top two sports are feeding everybody, right?
Everybody.
They're
Everybody.
feeding everybody. So
And listen, and been feeding everybody.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I wonder if anyone ever did, and I'm sure they have, but I think I'm gonna do it. I want to just see just take 10 years. I won't
mm,
even go as far back as my husband when he played college sports. Just take 10 years. So it
yeah.
is 2026. If we go to 2016, I wonder,
Mhm.
just take Big Ten. How
Okay.
much money has the Big Ten made in college football and basketball?
I think it's astronomical.
You know what? I'm gonna ask Chad. Ooh.
Chat may have it. And you know what? I think, Jill, I think it's astronomical. But I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that we're just seeing that a lot of the federal government is coming in on this stuff because of the NIL the past several years. But I think that their hands always been in on it already. We're just seeing it come more voice. It's being voiced more,
Yes.
you know? But they will tell you they're looking at it from a certain context. But if you got those two main big programs that are making majority, they're the biggest money makers out of everything. I think that they should get what's justly due to them, but I also think that other people should get some of that compensation because they work just as hard as other children work for their craft and what
Yeah.
they're doing. as well. I just think that they do. And I don't think they should be shortchanged. I don't think that we should just say you don't do anything, but it's almost like whoever bring most of that money home is just going to funnel on down.
Okay, so overall, so it said, getting a precise total for how much money the Big Ten Conference has made specifically for football, basketball. I just did 2015 to 2025. It's challenging because detailed sports, blah, blah, blah. But it did say overall conference revenue in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, the Big Ten Conference reported $928 million in total revenue, which is led by football and basketball media rights and NCAA distribution. This is total revenue, not sports specific, but football and men's basketball are responsible for the overwhelming majority of that total. Big Ten TV and media deals. The Big Ten media rights agreements with Fox, NBC, CSBC, and ESPN are collectively worth multi-billion dollars over many years. Public reporting suggests deals approaching $7.8 billion in aggregate value. Another source listed an average annual TV deal over $1.15 billion per year, which would value total TV income at roughly $11.5 billion over a decade, 2025 to 2016. The Big Ten also generates revenue each year from NCAA men's basketball tournament units. One source reported the conference earned 21 units worth approximately $42 million in 2025.
Woo.
From basketball tournament placement.
So what you're telling me is, okay, what you just read and what you're telling me and other parents and other people that are watching this is that the money that are at each of these schools is probably not the sum total of everything. So what it is, are the players even getting skimped out of the media rights revenue sharing deals?
I got more for you. So they did do estimated Big Ten football plus basketball revenue 2025 to 2020. I'm sorry, 2015 to 2025. Because there's no single audited source, this lists year by year specific revenue back to 2015. We can present an approximate accumulation view based on known conference revenue and typical revenue shares over the period. So total Big Ten revenue, all sports, multi-billions, likely 8 to 12 billion overall since the 2010s. Football revenue portion, likely 5 to 8 billion, majority of media and playoff payments. Basketball revenue, likely 1.2 billion, NCAA tournament and media licensing.
So we need to really be asking, who makes the determination on what needs to be shipped out from all this revenue sharing?
Right.
See, the real question is this: it's not just the oversight and them what they're wanting to do. Is the accurate amount really being split between the players?
Absolutely.
See, that's the big question. Are all these children, because then that's where, if they're making multi-billion dollars and each school is only getting 20 million, come on, Jill, do the math.
Well,
between 20 to 25 million distributed to each, and that's just in the Big Ten Conference, and to the SEC, they got some. But if each school is getting a certain amount of money, and this is in the billions, who determines how much of this revenue sharing is really going out to the schools, and why do they cap it at the 21 million or however much is sent to each school that is supposed to be split to the kids? So here's the thing. We're sitting here thinking that they're trying to cap our kids from making additional money on top of whatever it is. But what it is our children, are they really receiving what is justly due to them based on the billion-dollar industries that they are being showcased on? See, that's the real question.
So you got, and I just wanted to see how that compared to the NBA and the NFL. It's no comparison. Big Ten, just, obviously I looked at the Big Ten. I would have to look at all the different leagues, but just looking at Big Ten, the NBA makes 80 to 90 billion. The NFL makes 2025 to 20. So this is over a decade. So 2015 to 2025.
Mhm.
NBA 80 to 95 billion, NFL 170 to 190 billion. I'm in the wrong business.
But Jill, check this out though. But the NFL and the NBA do revenue. They've been doing revenue share because
Nope.
they get paid more. The players do get paid more
Right.
than anybody else. I
That's
mean,
what I'm
than the
saying.
team, than everybody. So they're getting their just due.
Right. But I
Okay?
just wanted to see how it compared where you are compensating your players, right? But you still in the billions. You're still making good money. The organizations are, the owners are. Ooh, anyway,
Well,
so
well,
the
we need to
bottom
be trying to
line is
own the team. Maybe that's the next big thing.
yes,
You
yes.
know?
So the bottom line is, and we talk about finances. The bottom line is, what should parents be thinking? Like, whether this happens or not, and it's probably going to happen. The government and it's probably going to get inside the locker room,
Yeah.
buddy up with the NCAA, whoever, right? Have lobbyists. What do parents need to do? First and foremost, you need to teach financial literacy. Again, one of the things that parents struggle with is that your child just wants to play.
That's it.
Your child wants to play, but your child also needs to understand where their money is, where they want their money to go, and where they want their money to grow. So if your athlete is earning money, they need to understand taxes, budgeting, saving, long-term investing, all of the things. And and I'm just being quite honest, we struggle with that because we had never been in a position like that before. So we had to bring in professionals, right? We tried
Absolutely.
to help our son, but we were like, dude, you got to
But
figure it. Go ahead.
no, I just think that I want us as parents, myself included, to have a somewhat healthy mindset of how the federal government is trying to frame things. And for us to also, like you're saying, have a healthy mindset of when these kids start making all these astronomical amounts of money and what they're doing with it. I think that even in like what we're talking about, dealing with federal oversight, it would mean that, and I want parents to really hear this, it would mean that the government or any federal agency, they have the power to do five things when you think about it. They have a power to set the standards of NIL deals. What are the standards, right? They also have the power to review big payments. So
Right.
there's a healthy way to think about all this stuff. Big payments. Some kids are making millions, some kids are making not as much. So now they're going to say we need to review what they're making. They also had the power to now prevent unfair recruiting practices. So in a way, it is trying to police things, but it's also trying to protect things, because I'm talking about a healthy mindset when we're looking at how the federal government is coming in on the kids' money and all that stuff. Then they will have the power to make sure that laws like antitrust laws are being followed, and they will also have the right to penalize violations, whether it's through the players, through the schools, or the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that we have a healthy mindset and understanding when we're looking at how does the federal oversight look at it. Me and Jill have our way of thinking about it, but we've researched certain things. We've looked into certain things. And that's what I'm going to encourage each parent to do. Research this stuff.
You
Look
got
to
it.
see how does this affect your kid.
Yes. Yes.
You know, is it protecting them? Is it a power grab? Because another thing, Jill, that a lot of people don't think about, we're in this college sports arena for a short span of time, right?
Very short. That time.
Very short span of time. Some people 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Some people it can go up to 5 or 6 years if you get certain more years of eligibility. A short time. So we are really the voice for the ones coming after of how this thing is going to look to be able to assist and help others. So we need to have a healthy way of thinking about it. We need to have our children and encourage them to, once you're done, you come back and pull up the next person behind you in the sports that you are in, to where you're not just out here, it's me and mine, us four and no more, but you're coming back to take your hand and pull up 5, 10 years down the line of what you experienced when you were in college and helping others. So, and that's how the government come in and make all their money. They're going to make sure of that.
Yeah, and making sure whatever mistakes you have made, you are educating those that come behind you so they don't make the same mistakes. Some
Yeah.
mistakes cost you money, some don't. Some mistakes cost you relationships, some don't. And so, whatever those mistakes that you have made, share those mistakes. You
Mm,
know, about relationships. Okay, I tried to take these people with me, and blah, blah, or I tried to do this financial. Whatever those mistakes are, learn from them and share, so you can grow, and then the
mhm,
people behind you don't have to make those same mistakes. Because what we do know is that when you put yourself, I'm just talking about financially, when you put yourself in a
mhm.
financial situation, it can not only change your generation, but generations to come.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you do that well, I mean, I think about you know, the position that I have been blessed to be in. Um, we own our house outright. We don't have a mortgage on our house, right? We're looking at
Mhm,
buying other property. We're not just doing that for ourselves. I'm educating my son. This is going to be your house. How are you going to take? I remember one time I was talking to him and he didn't pick up some. I said, "This is going to be your house one day, or it could be your house. So take care of it like it's yours." And I say that to say that, when I think about my mom was didn't have the wherewithal to buy a home, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so she was not able to leave that for her family. And so if you
Mm,
are in position as a young man, 20 something years old, invest, or young woman, invest your money wisely, because you're going to be a blessing to your future spouse. You're going to be a blessing to your children. You're going to be a blessing to your children's children, right? That's scripture.
yeah.
But if you're not taking care of business, you're not going to be a blessing to nobody.
Yeah. But you got
Yeah,
to think about how the government has always worked historically. It's always moved the goalposts when it looks like a certain group is trying to get to the next level, right? So
true.
even when we were back in, let's say, the 1900s, and then when we were free, and so we've been always etching forward to try to get into that generational wealth within our culture. And this is just, you know, the moment we get there, and the moment something cracks open, the goalpost is moved for us. We need to be monitored now. And see,
Yeah.
that's where I think that most people have a a disconnect to really understand that by the time these young men are coming in making millions of dollars while they're in college for 4 to 5 years, we now have to move the goalposts to where they're not building generational wealth. Because
Yeah.
if we don't, then this means that it's going to go past. So now we got to kind of get ahead of this thing. And what I mean by that is the goalpost is moved so that society, certain amount of people in society can remain where they are, and everyone don't get to the equal playing field
Oh,
all the time.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's why we have to make sure that when our kids get in this thing, when our kids are getting in this arena and begin to make the money they are, what are you doing with it
Yeah. Yeah. And
before the oversight committee come in and tell you what you should do with it or take it from you? Pay
yeah.
taxes on it. More
And that's
taxes.
why, when they try to introduce, so the law passes that you can now make money on your name, image, and likeness, right? And then shortly after that, they want to say, "Oh, and by the way, we're
Hmm.
going to allow you to gamble." I said, "Oh, no, you're not." So you want to now get them addicted to gambling, to have them spend their money. It's not going back into their community. Where's it
Yeah.
going? It's going to another community. And I'm so glad that that was not passed, but that was systematically done, to
Yeah.
try to see, to trap, to, I don't know. It was very disappointing. But that's
You
why
know,
parents,
yeah.
you got to educate yourself. You got to be advocates. You got to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah. So we hope that us kind of talking about what's happening in the arena of the legislation, also in the arena NIL, we're going to keep on drilling that home, will help a lot of parents understand and just become, I would say the number one thing is to become informed.
Yes.
And when you are informed, you are a power to be reckoned with. That means you can take the information, and even if you can't even if you can't come in and revitalize a whole community, you can start with you and your family to where this is how we're going to handle this here, right? This is
Yeah.
how we're going to handle this. And then here's the thing, I'll tell my friend, this is how we handle it. And then therefore you move on and you do it one family at a time. That's why in the huddle, no parent stands alone. So as we bring you in here, we're just letting you know this is what's happening. Go look it up. Look up who your representatives are in your state. Write to them if you disagree with what they're trying to implement regarding your kid and whatever is happening or your player at their schools. You know,
Absolutely.
do that.
Absolutely. So I know we wanted to talk about, I was looking it up. There was an incident at a Michigan school.
Hmm.
I think it happened last month, because today is March, right? Is today March 1st? I think it
March
happened.
2nd.
It happened February 17th during a varsity boys basketball game between Goodrich High School and Kelsey High School in Goodrich, Michigan.
Hmm.
Person in the Goodrich student section shouted a racial slur at an opposing black player as he was attempting a free throw. The slur
Hmm.
was audible. It was caught on video. It was and broadcast audio, and the clip circulated on social media, then removed. The game
Hmm.
was paused immediately after the slur was heard, and the crowd obviously reacted negatively. So the school did respond. The administrator paused the game. They addressed the student section from the court, but because the individual responsible initially did not come forward, the entire student section, that's my husband calling, the entire student section was removed from the gym. So we don't know if it was an adult. We don't know if it was a parent. More than likely, it was probably some kid.
Hmm.
School officials later identified and disciplined the student under the district student code of contact through exact disciplinary action were not publicly detailed. Goodrich
Hmm.
superintendent, I won't say his name, said the incident was taken seriously and will be followed with continued education about sportsmanship, respect, and conduct. They don't just need to. What are you talking about sportsmanship?
Wait a minute though. I'm shocked that the game was stopped and do you know how many times I've been in a game, basketball, football? I done heard some of any and everything, not just the racial slur.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sure.
I applaud that school for making it a big deal. See, not a lot of places make it a big deal, Jill, like that. That's the issue. But I applaud that school for saying it's not going to happen here.
I tell my husband I'm on a call. You still want to talk? I'm on a podcast.
Uh,
Uh, so
our
yeah,
mom work is never done, Jill. It's
never
never.
done, never done. But that was interesting. You know, it doesn't surprise me. I think parents and schools need to educate their children. It's not just about sportsmanship. I don't understand how they even think that that's a sportsmanship issue. That's a racial issue.
Well, Jill, that's the thing, though. It's built into the very fabrics of this country, right? So when you have systemic racism or systemic things that's built into the fabric, it goes from generation to generation to generation. And we're just in a generation to think where people think anything goes. So, like I say, I do applaud the school for at
Yeah.
least addressing it. They're trying to, like you say, they're calling it sportsmanship, but they do get a pat on the back for at least
Yeah.
bringing some type of awareness to say this will not happen here, right?
Well, they had to, because it
They
was
should.
caught. It was caught.
Yeah, it was
And
called.
here's the thing. I guarantee you that wasn't the first time that student said something like that.
I wonder, what did he say? Did it say what he said?
Racial slur, he probably said the hard N word.
Straight up. Just
They love to say
yeah.
they love to say that. But anyway, so we're gonna end on a positive. We
Yeah.
the goal is to educate parents on what's happening. So we highlight the fact that the combine took place this past weekend. We're praying that
Yes.
get selected sometime in late April. What is the second or third week in April?
Yeah.
Um, and then we talked about, the government getting into the locker room and into what's happening with collegiate sports. I believe there's certainly some pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
And then we just want to make sure that we educate our children to respect everyone, um,
Yes.
to use your words wisely, call after wisdom because she's there, she's ever present,
Oh,
and she wants to be engaged and involved in everything that we do.
yes.
So it's been a great conversation. I'm having fun, and Austin is beautiful here. You see, I got short sleeves on. It's so nice.
It's still a little chilly up here, so we're waiting for the weather to break in Michigan. But I will say, I'm excited for spring ball coming up. I'm excited for, is this March Madness, Jill?
I know. So I think my son's not feeling well. I was thinking about flying up there on Friday. I just talked to him. He has been in the bed for the last 2 days.
Oh
There's some
no.
type of virus and bug going on. He was not doing well. His poor little girlfriend, I call her, and she's she is she graduated from the nursing program, and she's in school to be a
Congratulations.
nurse. Yeah, and so she's back in school. She stays in the books, and so I asked her. She was telling me he's not feeling well, and I said, "Does he need to go to the doctor?" Because he had vomited, and he had, um, you know, but it came up black. And
Oh,
I said, well, so I looked it up. I said, I looked up Dr. Chat, and I said, I said, this is, you need to make sure. Oh, I could take him in an hour. I said, no, no, he can't wait an hour. You need to take him. So
but
afterwards,
what did he eat? Did he eat something that was black,
well, I
Jill?
found out later. He said he thought it was he thought it was the medication. So he did have he had a mild temperature,
Okay.
but he's still not able to. He's eating soup and drinking tea, but he's still not able to keep anything in his stomach. So there's some type of virus or bug going around. He didn't go to practice today. I'm crossing my finger that he does have enough strength to play on Wednesday because they play on Wednesday. They play on
Us,
Wednesday.
our list, who's sick. Well, let me tell you this. We're going to believe God right now.
Yeah,
The healing power promised
yeah,
2,000 years ago is going
yeah.
to go through Jonathan's body. Lord, we thank you for Jonathan. I thank you that he is healed from the crown of his head to the very soles of his feet. Lord, I thank you that he will be healed and that he will be whatever is going on in his body, that it will come out if it's toxic in
Mhm.
Jesus' name. And I thank you for a good game for him. And I
Yes.
thank you, Lord, that you give him peace and strengthen his limbs because I know sometimes playing basketball 2 to 3 days a week can be hard on the body. But Lord, we thank you that you have given him the ability to do what his calling is, and that is to play basketball, to entertain, and to be a blessing unto you in this game. So we
Yeah.
thank you for supernatural healing, supernatural ability. In Jesus' name, amen. And
Amen. Thank
I
you
want
for
you
that.
to tell Jonathan, this is just for me. Sometime that baby and sometime these kids, they will burn themselves out playing the sports that they love and fail to take care of themselves. Tell Jonathan, take care of himself.
Yeah, I told him, and thank you. I will tell him that. I said, your body just says sit down and rest.
Yes. Sit down and rest.
You want to play, but you don't want to mess yourself up playing, and you're not physically 100%.
And it's
Because he,
okay to sit down.
it's
We
okay.
need you here beyond,
Yes,
trying to push yourself through, okay?
because he said, "Mom, I could tell I lost just in the last 2 days. It looks like I feel like I lost some weight."
Oh,
I know. So I was about to fly up there, but I said I was going to fly Friday. He said, "Mom, we play. They play They play UCLA.
are they
And
going there or
they're
UCLA coming
going
to town?
there. So you got to tell Shamaj to go to the game.
Is it Wednesday? Is this Wednesday?
No, it's this weekend. So I think they leave. I
Oh,
think they
so
play.
he's probably going to be at the game. I'm pretty sure. I'll let him know. I'm sure they got each
Listen,
other number. They talk. I think they talk.
yes, if
Samaj
they don't,
probably like,
if they don't know, because sometimes they
yeah,
be so
yeah,
busy
they
playing.
do be busy, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure Samaj is going to check in on that one and come see Jonathan play. I'll make sure that I let him know
listen, but he don't. I tell him all the time. Your mama get on the plane. I was like, I don't have to fly to Wisconsin. I can fly to California.
that.
Uh,
Girl, God bless you on that plane. I'm getting on the train this
wait
year.
a minute. I think okay. I might even be in California. Because I was
Okay,
supposed to anyway. So we on a whole nother. We done
I know.
we done
We want
shifted.
to say to our I know me and Jill we get sidetracked, but we're gonna say to every parent, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe this video. Share with anybody that you believe that needs to hear this video, even if it's just encouragement. We want to be an encouragement to you. Go to our platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and make sure you follow us. And then just see when the next episode drop, because we're going to be dropping interviews, we're going to be dropping discussions, and we just want to bring you into the huddle. So
all righty.
thank you. In the huddle, no parent stands alone. Have a blessed one, Jill. Have a blessed one, everyone.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.